the best way to actually digest your food as well is to be in a very quiet space, so that you're in a relaxed state, because the relaxed state, which is called parasympathetic, don't worry about too much about the names, that is the state of which you should be in when you're eating. So eating at a desk at work, when everyone can still get hold of you, to me is just a complete no-no. Yeah, just don't do it. Get out somewhere, even just in a corner of a car park or something where no one can find you, almost. Or in the summer, if you've got a park near you, go out to the park, sit, and then you've got the fresh air. Here we go again. The fresh air layered on escaping from the office. So you're now in a nice, relaxed environment. You can sit on the park bench. You can watch the ducks, and you can just sit there and chew your food properly. And then you have a nice walk back. Most people, you don't even need a full hour for that. You just need like 15, 20 minutes is almost enough, unless you're having a huge lunch. Sorry. It's just very, very simple stuff. And it can make a huge difference to you. It really can.
Welcome back. Gail Farrow is here. She is a health coach, and she is teaching practical yet safe herbal medicine to community groups, including herb walks and understanding of health issues. So if you want to get your wellness dialed in better, if you want to take control of your own energy, weight, just well-being in general, then Gail is the person that you should talk to and that we will talk to today. Because when you take more responsibility for your own health, that means understanding how your body works. And that means that the way that you live and the way that you organize your life affects your health. And once you get a handle on that inventory, then you can make meaningful change. So you can take action, you can take responsibility, and you can just feel better and act better and do better and be better. And Gail will help us, tell us what we need to know, what the noise is, what to ignore, and how we can just get on this path to a longer, happier, healthier life. So Gail, glad to be speaking with you.
I'm nice to speak to you again, actually. I haven't spoken to you for a while, so that's great. Okay.
Yeah, we know each other already. We're just having a repeat chat between friends. So that's us that know each other. But if someone does not know you, has never heard of you, what is the elevator pitch? What are you all about? What's your focus and passion?
My focus and passion then probably is that with all the years of experience I've had of treating people, being out in the community, all those sorts of things, and all the different types of things I've done, one thing I've particularly noticed is that people have not been taking responsibility for themselves. And particularly with my herbal medicine clients, I always found that although they got better, the ones that actually took responsibility for themselves and actually made changes to their lifestyle and their habits were the ones that actually did the best and came out with the best health outcomes. They also had more confidence and everything like that as well, because they had actually made a difference to themselves. It's a real shame that we've allowed the medical profession to sort of take over that responsibility for us. I think people have noticed now that that's not the answer to everything. The medical profession do a really good job and we need them, but at the same time, we could do a lot more to help ourselves and make our lives better. Okay.
I agree completely. We need to take responsibility.
Yeah, definitely. So I think, this is just my personal opinion, that the best way to do that is actually just to take really, really simple, small steps. If you're not happy with the way that your life is, just find something just to prove to yourself that you can make a change. Because a lot of people are going, I can't do this, because work's about organised this way. I've got to take the kids to school, all this type of thing. But there must be something somewhere that you can just make a small change with, even if it is like just getting the breakfast ready the night before and putting it on the table so that it's already there, in the morning, so that everybody can get on with that and then go out to school, for instance. Just really, really simple things. And the other important thing is, don't go, I can't do that, I haven't got time. Because if you're unhappy with what's going on or you're in pain, you can't really necessarily expect anyone else to do anything for it. So it's up to you to actually take that action. And then if you can manage to do one of these small steps, do it, say, for a week. It could be really minor. Can I name drop as well here, or am I allowed to?
Let's name drop. Let's do it.
Yeah. So in the UK, there's a man called Michael Mosley. He unfortunately died on an island in the summer, but he did a program called One Small Thing, just one small thing. And he was actually doing the same type of thing. He used to do experiments. He used to go out and do the research and then go out and actually try the things himself and then show people what happened to him. I'm sort of in that same sort of mindset. That's the best way of putting it. Okay. So some people might go, oh, well, that's quite trivial. Why would I want to do that? That's not going to make a difference. But the idea with this is that you do one thing and you succeed in it, and then you do another and another and another. And if you can find a way, which sometimes just by talking to someone, hopefully like myself, then you can actually build it so that you're actually not changing your life that much to actually achieve several things. So an example might be if you wanted to walk more, you could start off first of all, if you caught the bus to work, you could walk one stop, get on the bus, as an example. Then also you could perhaps get up slightly earlier and walk 2 stops the next week, and then 3 stops the week after that. But also, if you did that, particularly in the summer, you would also be getting out into the fresh air. So that's another bonus as well. And out into the sunlight, which is really good for you, especially in the morning. So if you're going to choose to do it in the morning or the evening, I'd do it in the morning because the health benefits for that are better. And you could just carry on building and building like that, and then suddenly realise that, after a few weeks, actually, that has made a difference to me. I feel so much better.
I love it. So you're saying that it's about one day at a time and the upward spiral and making small changes, that way they stick. And then when you do apply the small changes, noticing them and just making more incremental changes, because it's so easy to self-sabotage and to delude yourself, right? And especially when it's, say, New Year's, the New Year's resolution, New Year's Day, I'm going to throw out all my junk food. I'll stock my whole refrigerator with vegetables. I'll run 5 hours a day, and then it doesn't happen, and then you say, I guess it didn't work. So I can relate to this a lot. I started a few weeks ago doing push-ups in the morning because I'm 40, right? I get the man boobs a little bit, and so I started just doing, right, I started the shower running, I go to an exact location on the floor, and I would do 10 push-ups, and I noticed most mornings I'd say, I did 10, I can do 15, I can do 20, and the last few days I've been like, my goal is 20, I'll go all the way to 30. And so I can relate to what you're saying as far as just doing something simple and saying like, hey, the fact that it's small is not a reason not to do it. That's the reason to do it. And then you get all these benefits, you feel better, and then you keep on pushing yourself and you just slowly get there. They say easy does it. And so as far as what you've improved, what you've gone through, were you always like this? Were you always an organized, a good habits person, or did you yourself have to go through a period of transformation?
I had to go through a period of transformation, yes. I admit it quite openly that I fall off sometimes, but generally speaking, I feel that I have a good framework now. Yeah, because I am a bit of I don't know if I should admit this, when I'm alone, I can chomp my way through things. I can eat quite a lot when I'm on my own. So that does happen occasionally, but it happens a lot less now because I have a generally healthy diet. I find that I can't do that anymore because it doesn't make me feel good. So it's actually changed that much, So that I think that's quite good. And when I was quite a young person, I was quite overweight. And I was lucky enough to actually learn how to play a sport, which I didn't want to play. In fact, my dad paid £1 for me to join a squash club when I was 13. I know this is a long way back. And I was going, I don't want to do that. And that was the best thing that could ever have happened to me. It completely changed my life. I was down there all the time, maybe overdoing it a little bit, but I got to a reasonable level. but it kept the weight down, and it also opened up all sorts of doors for me as well. Like, I had confidence because I could play a reasonable game. And then when I went anywhere new and didn't have any friends, I had something I could do, go and join a club and meet new people. So there's lots of different ways this can work for people. And it's finding out what you want to do and how you want to change. But the other thing is really important is your beliefs, and also possibly what we call unresolved emotions as well. So, for instance, if you've had some awful tragedy in your life or something like that, and it's not been dealt with at the time, quite often that can sort of hang on to you. And sometimes you do need to do something about that. And then obviously, if you can recognise that, it can make a huge difference. Another strange one, which again people may find a bit wacky, is I kept going to a university to do some herbal teaching, and I never liked going in there. And it took me ages and ages to work out why I didn't like going in there. And I'm still not completely convinced, but I did feel a lot better when I worked out that the name of the road that the university was the same name of the road when my dad had his company, had his little business. And I had a lot of unresolved emotions about, when he died, and, not having enough time to say goodbye to him because it all happened very quickly as well. And I actually think that just subliminally seeing that actually triggered something off in me without me even realising. I went there several times, and then I just suddenly noticed it one day, and I went, wow. It may sound like crazy, but you'd be surprised. Even like a look from somebody, if it reminds you of somebody that you weren't sure about, or, someone that, you really don't ever want to see again, that is enough sometimes to trigger an emotion inside, and then that can change your whole physiology.
And I think that's happened to many people over the years, right? You hear some random song, you see some random car, someone's wearing a green shirt or a red shirt, and it reminds you of something from your past, and it sets you off in weird ways, right? The triggers. And so what I'm getting from you is that it's important to work your way through the difficulty of noticing what puts you in a bad mood or gets the bad thoughts happening, and go through those difficulties of maybe that awkward social situation, that sport that maybe you don't like in the present, or that job that you didn't like, but then you look back at it and you say, hey, those were the good old days, right? And in the moment, I was like, oh, I have to wake up early, I have to go to this job. But then you think, oh, well, all those coworkers, all those friends I had, I miss those days. And so that's helpful to hear about, and also to just involve other people in general, right? Get out of the house. Don't just sit there with the blinds closed. You have to break out of your patterns and be happier and do other things. And so, speaking of making a change, many of us are stuck in our same eating habits, and many times it's unhealthy, right? Whenever you read these articles about how addictive sugar is and high fructose corn syrup, and it's always in vague terms, isn't it? It's always like it's been decades, but they're still not fully committed on how dangerous it is, and also not enough to like pass enough laws and all that. But it is scary about all the food that we put into ourselves in all these unhealthy ways, and we don't even realize it. And so if someone says, okay, a lot of what you said here, Gail, makes sense. I need to make some changes. I need to exercise and lose the weight, but I also want to change what I eat. And so you're an herbalist, is my understanding. And so what does that mean, and what expertise do you have to help us to eat better?
Well, this is one of my bigger passions, actually, is about eating. I try not to be prescriptive about what people should be eating so much, but more how they should be eating things. So, for instance, just making sure that you chew stuff properly will make a huge difference to what happens to the rest of the chemistry within the body, because if that's the beginning of your food tube, and you've got all these other different organs going down, to where you go out to poo, and each of them has a different time, timing. So if you can shove the food in your mouth and swallow it, but then you haven't broken it down. And the whole point of the food is that it is like your fuel. So you need to break it down so that it's in small enough molecules to turn into the fuel that the body can actually take into the bloodstream. If you think your blood is just liquid, okay, let's just make it really basic. It doesn't have to be true physiology in that sense, but your blood's just fluid. Okay, so you've taken this big bun or this big huge piece of meat and shoved it in your mouth. I'm sorry to say it, because I walk around London all the time, and there are people with their bags of stuff from the bakers, and they're running around. They're actually running, and they're taking their food, and they're just swallowing it all down. They're not chewing it or anything or breaking it down. So that immediately putting stress on the rest of your digestive system, and then at certain points, it takes longer than another point. So you have to make sure that if you get the first bit right, everything else should slightly, do better. But also, the best way to actually digest your food as well is to be in a very quiet space, so that you're in a relaxed state, because the relaxed state, which is called parasympathetic, don't worry too much about the names, that is the state at which you should be in when you're eating. So eating at a desk at work, when everyone can still get hold of you, to me is just a complete no-no. Yeah, just don't do it. Get out somewhere, even just in a corner of a car park or something where no one can find you, almost. Or in the summer, if you've got a park near you, go out to the park, sit, and then you've got the fresh air. Here we go again. The fresh air layered on escaping from the office. So you're now in a nice, relaxed environment. You can sit on the park bench. You can watch the ducks, and you can just sit there and chew your food properly. And then you have a nice walk back. Most people, you don't even need a full hour for that. You just need like 15, 20 minutes is almost enough, unless you're having a huge lunch. Sorry. It's just very, very simple stuff, and it can make a huge difference to you. It really can.
I think I need to do that. You're reminding me that, I think it was like 10 or 15 years ago, I used to have a lunch spot, and it was in front of the pond, in front of the ducks. And I remember looking forward to it. And decades later, there's so many things I don't remember from decades ago, right? From what happened on a particular day and what happened indoors. But I'm thinking back, I do remember sitting out in front of the pond with the ducks, eating my sandwich. And maybe I need to go back and do that and revisit that. And so you're saying that we need to find a quiet place to eat. And then as far as what to eat, is there like a logical starting point? Are you someone that says eat more salad, eat more lettuce, fruits, vegetables? Like if someone came to you and said, hey, I know I need to improve my diet, what would you say is a good place to start?
Okay, I'm one of the people who talks about ultra processed foods, which is a big buzzword certainly in the UK at the moment. But basically anything that's relatively natural is, that hasn't had loads of processing to it. So fruit, veg, even a decent bread. Bread, again, that's got a bad press at the moment. But if you get one that's, got the right ingredients in it, it's going to be digested more slowly, and therefore that is going to release the sugars less quickly into the body. So yeah, and fresh fruit and veg and good quality meat as well. If you're a meat eater, actually it's worth getting organic without all the the hormones and things that they put into the animals. Really, yeah, very, very simple stuff. And so one other thing, people seem to think that these things take a long time to cook if you're going to cook them. But actually, good food actually doesn't take very long at all. If you have a piece of steak, you don't need a huge piece of steak, because people would say that steak's quite expensive. But you don't need much. So it actually isn't as expensive as you think. But, when my friends think of steak, they think about this massive, great, thing. You don't need that much to actually fill you up and give you the nutrients that you need. And it only takes a few minutes to cook it. and I think people think that it's much more complicated than that. You just need to like sear it in a pan, nothing fancy at all. And then add a few little extra vegetables with it. And it's a great healthy meal.
So just get it done. And we've all come across that sort of person that has a problem for every solution. We talked about this in the beginning, right? When you say, well, you should eat healthy. Oh, I can't do this because of this. I don't have time. I don't know what to get. And sometimes you have that conversation and you try this approach, that approach, you say 6 different things and they have you blocked every which way. And then you just say, well, I did my best, right? I gave you the advice. It was simple. You still didn't follow through. And so for me, that comes full circle to how our conversation began, where you must take responsibility. And if someone like Gail says, hey, I'm telling you about these new habits that you could adopt. I'm telling you about what you could stop eating and eat more of the healthier meat or the healthier fruits and veggies. And if you say, well, here's all these other excuses, well, then like what else is there, right? Like you need to figure out a way through, and you need to figure out a way to take better control of your health and your future. And so as far as what you've seen, Gail, like what you've learned and put into practice, people you've helped, has anything surprised you in your journey? Because we've been talking about like the real simple basic stuff that maybe we've heard, but what just completely shocked you?
Oh, that's a tricky one.
Yeah.
Maybe actually, that's another thing about us talking about other people, is not to judge people when they come to see you as well, to a certain extent. Because sometimes you can sit and look at someone and think, they're not going to do it. And sometimes actually they're the people that really get stuck in and get going. But I'm there to help them. That's the other important thing. And, try and help them think about what it is that they want. And sometimes they don't know what they want yet. But just get them to just take that, just have a go, take that step, be playful with it. That's another thing, because I think sometimes we're all far too serious about our lives and what's going on for us. I've been like that, and I still get like that, because you know from when you've spoken to me, I get quite uptight myself. But why? Why? Just get on with it, have a bit of fun with it, muck around with it, and just experiment with it, see what happens.
That's a good attitude.
A bit of detachment to it, because I think that's it. I think we just get so churned up and into everything, and I've got to do this, and then I've got to do that and stuff. And yes, we all have to, but if you can get these habit changes right, it can sometimes loosen up some time for you. And actually that's the next stage, that you're loosening up the time so that then you can actually, now you've got a clearer mind, you're feeling better, and then you can move on to the next stage of actually tackling something that you've really wanted to tackle but haven't had the energy to do so.
And along those lines, what are you currently tackling? What is exciting for you about the future?
For the future, well, let's see, actually, because I would say that building this website was a big thing for me, and there'd be people out there going, why, that's really easy. But for me, no, it's new technology, and that type of thing for me is a real challenge. But now that I've started getting involved in it, I can really see the advantage of using it, as long as, again, I don't get all tangled in it and then let it take me over.
And you're having fun with it, just as you said. You're learning some new skills, embracing the awkwardness, saying, I don't fully understand it, but enough to be dangerous, enough to get a few things done.
Yeah. Yes. I've been struggling with it, but I can really see now that once it all fits into place, it will be really useful. Really useful. Yeah.
You have a goal. You have a dream.
Well. Sorry.
You have a goal and a dream, I said.
Yeah. I'd really just like. I think the other thing is getting people, because I think sometimes our health has been a bit of a mystery. Like we used to go to the doctor, they do tell us what to do, and we do it. and we sometimes wouldn't know why we were doing it. I think now there's probably enough information out there to actually begin to understand a little bit more about why, maybe I might be giving certain advice. That's what I'd like to do if I can. It's going to be quite tricky to do it, I think, because that's another reason why I don't think sometimes it's hard to explain things. But what I'd really like to do, if I can, is see if I can actually get things broken down into little bites for people, so that actually if they stick with it for a few weeks, they'll actually begin to understand a bit about their bodies as well, not just I'm telling them, or suggesting they do X, Y, or Z, and maybe they'll actually truly understand a little bit more about why. Because I always think that if I'm told to do something, maybe I don't like being told what to do. I don't know. But you understand what I'm saying? It's sort of like if you actually begin to understand it, I think it helps for you to actually then take the action as well.
If you understand why something is important, what's the bigger picture? It has a higher likelihood of sticking.
Yes. Yeah. Yes.
Okay. And that is why we're here, to wake some people up, to give them some awareness, to say that your health, it does not have to be a mystery. It does not have to be hopeless. You can take back the control. You can make better decisions. You can be more mindful about what you eat and about the movements that you make and about how your health is doing, because you can't improve what you don't measure. So it's important just to be aware of how physically your body is doing, how mentally, if that road sign gets you triggered and gets you feeling bad, then maybe notice that and then take the small manageable steps to begin clearing that up, which will lead to solving just a small problem, but that will lead to solving other small problems. And what else is there to life, right? You can't control the future or the past. All there is one day at a time. And so when you go to GailFarrow.com, that's GailFarrow.com, you can find Gail's contact information. You can find some interesting and helpful articles right there. So that way you can get yourself educated and just have a better idea of what you should do less of and what you should do more of, and what maybe doesn't even matter. So that way you don't sweat the small stuff and you can be on this path to a better, more healthier life. And so as people go to GailFarrow.com here, Gail, do you have any final parting words of advice? Do you have perhaps a helpful quote or lesson that has helped you, or in general, just what do you have to say to wrap up our conversation?
I say just do something right now. Right now. Just something different right now. And that's it.
That's it. Doesn't have to be any more complicated.
Nope.
Just do something different, shake things up.
Yeah.
Okay,
Seriously.
well, and we're both serious about this, but also in the playful sense. So after this podcast is done, I'm going to hit the button. I'm going to take a walk around the block just to get the sunlight, get the fresh air, shake things up, reset myself for the next task. And out there in podcast land, you should be doing something different yourself. And so how about you, Gail? Is there something specific today or this week that you plan on doing differently?
Wow, that's a nice one. You put me on the spot now, haven't you, really and truly?
Yes.
Well, let's see. I think actually the same thing applies. I haven't been out for a nice walk for a while either. I've been thinking about that for a while, and actually dealing with this project has actually taken me off that, and that's why I say about you come off kilter and you come back in again. So actually, yes, I'm going to say force, that's the wrong word, force my partner to go out for a walk with me in the next for the weekend.
And that could be the default answer, right? If there's something specific, you as someone who's watching this podcast interview, say, hey, there's something I've been wanting to do, great. But if not, there's the fallback. Just go and take a walk. And me and Gail will both be taking walks, even though we're on completely different continents, and just feeling better and making these small manageable steps. So Gail's website is gailfarrow.com, and she's also co-authored with Pat Mesiti in the book The Path to a New You, and you can find that on Amazon. So that's The Path to a New You, but also health coach Gail Farrow at gailfarrow.com. Thank you very much, Gail, for stopping by, showing up, giving us some helpful advice, being raw, personal, honest. I really appreciate you helping us out today.
Okay, thank you. Did you say healthcoach.com? Sorry.
I said health coach Gail Farrow. Website is
I'm sorry.
gailfarrow.com.
I misheard that.
Okay, so health coach is job title, but yeah, and that's a good distinction. Go right now. Don't type all that in. Just gailfarrow.com. Go to that website. You'll be glad you did.
Lovely.